What's cooking? Good looking? I cook with wine. Sometimes I even add it to the food. W.C. Fields. Introductory material. Dear learner, this material will help you study the topics related to Learning Activity 3. You will learn about 1. Adjectives with ed and ing. 2. Future perfect with will and going to. 3. Vocabulary about food and cooking. Let's begin. 1. Adjectives with ed and ing. You have probably learned about adjectives before. These are words that describe nouns. Adjectives give us more information about people, places, feelings, ideas, things, etc. Let's take a look at a simple example of an adjective. Julia Child was a wonderful chef. As you can see, the adjective in this sentence tells us more about a noun. Julia was not simply a chef, she was a wonderful chef. There are many types of adjectives that end in ed or ing that serve the same purpose as ordinary adjectives. Adjectives ending in ed usually refer to how someone feels, whereas those ending in refer to the objects, ideas, or events that cause those feelings. Let's take a look at a few examples. Adjectives ending in ed describe how people feel about something or someone. My husband gets so bored when I watch cooking show marathons. Describes how her husband feels about cooking show marathons. Ed words that refer to people. Meaning. Ing words that refer to objects, ideas, etc. Meaning. Amused. Feeling of being entertained or delighted. Amusing describes something that causes laughter or enjoyment, is funny or enjoyable. Bored. Feeling of being not interested. Boring. Describes something that is not interesting at all. Confused. Feeling of not understanding. Confusing. Describes something that is unclear or not easy to understand. Depressed. Feeling of being sad and gloomy. Depressing. Describes something that makes you sad. Disgusted. Feeling of being angry and upset about something that you do not approve of or like. Disgusting. Describes something that is offensive to the taste and causes disgust. Embarrassed. Feeling of being ashamed of something and worried about what other people will think of you. Embarrassing. Describes something that makes you feel ashamed. Encouraged. Feeling of being confident and motivated. Encouraging describes something that inspires you or makes you confident. Excited. Feeling very happy and enthusiastic because something is good. Exciting describes something that makes you feel strong happiness. Exhausted. Feeling of being tired or drained of energy. Exhausting, something that makes you lose energy or makes you feel fatigued. Frightened, feeling of being afraid, scared, or terrified about something that happened. Frightening describes something that scares you. Interested, feeling of being curious and attentive about something. Interesting describes something that makes you feel attracted or engaged. Satisfied, feeling of being content or pleased. Satisfying describes something that makes you feel complete. Shocked, feeling of being disturbed or affected by something. Shocking describes something that makes you feel extremely surprised. Tired, feeling of being fatigued or sleepy. Tiring describes something that makes you feel out of energy. I am not interested in eating meat describes how I feel about eating meat. She is disgusted by the thought of eating insects. describes how she feels about the idea of eating insects. Adjectives ending in ing describe something or someone. The marathon of cooking shows was so long that it was boring for her husband. Describes the cooking shows. Meat is so common that it is not interesting to me. Describes meat. Insects are disgusting to many people. That's why some people don't consider them to be food. Describes the insects. Here is a chart of adjectives that commonly use both the ed and ing form. These particular kinds of adjectives are also called participles. The ed words are called past participles and the ing words are called present participle. Here is a bit more explanation of how participles work as adjectives. Example. Verb. To excite. Definition. To make someone feel excited. Past participle. Excited. I was so excited to see you when I picked you up at the airport. The person feels excited. Present participle. Exciting. The soccer match was so exciting because at the end the game went to penalties. The game made the people watching feel excited. As you can see in the examples, the present participle, or ing adjective, is often the person or thing that causes the feeling expressed by the past participle, or ed adjective. Note, usually a person is ed by something that is ing. I was excited by the exciting soccer match, not I was exciting by the excited soccer match. Two, future perfect with will and going to. A, the future perfect. The future perfect is a tense mainly used in three specific cases. Take a look at the explanations and examples below. Case 1. To talk about an action in the future that will take place before another action in the future. Example. Action 1. The party will start at 9 p.m. Action 2. I will get to the party at 11 p.m. Sentence. The party will have started by the time I get there. As you can see, the action that will take place first, chronologically speaking, is the sentence that uses the future perfect structure. Other examples. By next February, I will have gotten married. By the time I get home, my co-worker is going to have uploaded all the files to the cloud. She is not going to have finished her report by the end of the week. Will you have learned enough German to communicate before you move to Berlin? Amanda is probably going to have written her thesis by the time her vacation ends. By the time I finish this project, I will have written at least 100 activities. Case 2. To talk about the duration of an activity before a specific time in the future. Example. Situation. I arrived to Paris today and plan to leave in 8 months. The 6-month period marks the specific time in the future when something will happen. I will leave Paris. Now let's see how to express this idea by using the future perfect. By the time I leave Paris, I will have lived there for 8 months. Other examples. She will have slept for 5 hours by the time the plane lands. By next summer, she will have been in jail for 10 years. Sonia will have worn braces for over 3 months by the end of the year. Note, this use is often limited to non-continuous verbs, that is, verbs that don't imply movement, such as be, agree, deserve, etc. Case 3. To express certainty about the occurrence of something in the near past. Example: by the time you get there, the doctor will have left the office. Schedule a new appointment. I'm sure the doctor won't be at the office. Carolina is going to have completed her exam by the time the timer goes off. I will have finished eating by the time you arrive, so let's have lunch another day. B. Common time expressions. The most common time markers used with the future perfect are by, tomorrow, tonight, next week, next Monday, next year. It means sometime before that point in time. I will have finished that report by tomorrow. By 3 o'clock. It means sometime before this time. By 3 o'clock, the plane will have taken off. By the time they get home. It means sometime before the beginning of this activity. I will have finished making dinner by the time they get home. C. Grammar structure. Now you will find a chart illustrating how to structure a sentence in the future perfect. Affirmative statements. Subject plus auxiliary verb plus have plus past participle. I will have eaten. Example: I will have eaten the pie by the time my wife gets home. Yes and no questions. Auxiliary verb plus subject plus have plus past participle. Will they have left? Example: will they have left by the time the boss comes? Information questions. Question word, auxiliary verb plus subject plus have plus past participle. When will you have finished cooking? Example: when will you have finished cooking dinner? Negative statements. Subject plus auxiliary verb plus not or won't plus auxiliary verb plus past participle. Your dad will not have retired. Example. D. Irregular past participles. As you may remember, the future perfect is made in two ways, with the future simple of have, will have, or the future form of going to have, and the past participle of the verb. For regular past participles, you only have to add ed to your verb, but there are some irregular past participles you should remember. Vocabulary about food and cooking. You are what you eat. Proverb. Eating is perhaps one of the most basic functions of living things. Humans have taken this biological necessity to the next level with the art of cooking. While eating is for everyone, cooking is not. Nevertheless, it's important to acquire some basic knowledge about how to discuss the universal experiences surrounding food and cooking. A. Describing tastes and textures. Aside from simply naming food, it's important to describe tastes and textures. We typically do this using adjectives. See the chart below to learn about commonly used adjectives. Tastes. Adjective: sour. Example: lime or lemon. Sweet: candy. Salty: potato chips. Bitter: coffee. Bland: bread. Strong: blue cheese. Rich: chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. Soft, mashed potatoes. Hard, carrot. Chewy, gummy bears. Crunchy, peanuts. Crispy, fried chicken. Smooth, baby food. Creamy, rice pudding. B. Cooking verbs. Cooking is an action-packed process, which is why it's important to learn about the verbs that are useful in the kitchen. Cooking verbs. To boil, to grate, to chop, to slice, to grill, to fry, to peel, to bake, to pour, to spread, to mix, to roast, to stir, to steam, to beat, to cook, to carve, to melt, to squeeze, to saute, to sprinkle, to cut, to knead, to sift, to serve. C. Kitchen utensils. Utensils are the general name for tools used in the kitchen. Have a look at the chart. Kitchen utensils. Apron. Bowls. Can opener. Casserole dish. Cookie cutter. Cookie sheet. Cutting board. Frying pan. Grater. Ice cube tray. Knife. Measuring cups. Measuring spoons. Muffin tin. Oven mitt. Peeler. Pie plate. Pot. Pot holder. Potato masher. Roasting pan. Rolling pin. Serving spoon. Soup ladle. Spatula. Strainer. Whisk. Wooden spoon. D. Methods of preparation. Cooking is one of the most exciting activities in life. Some of you might not be really interested in cooking, but if you never give it a try, you will never know if you like it. Check out the following recipe for arepas de choclo. Who knows, you might feel like trying it at home after this lesson. Ingredients: 1 pound corn kernels, 1 cup milk, plus more if necessary, 2 tablespoons sugar, 3/4 teaspoon salt, ground black pepper to taste, 2 tablespoons butter. Arepas de choclo are amazing and they're not that difficult to make, but there are some things you need to keep in mind if you want them to be spectacular. Rinse the corn kernels under cold water and drain them well. Put them in a blender and add the milk, sugar, salt and pepper to taste. Put the mixture in a bowl and stir until you get a thick batter. Take a piece of the mixture and spread it into 15-centimeter circles. Melt 2 tablespoons of butter in a skillet. Put the circles in the skillet and cook them for 5 minutes on each side. Are you ready to give cooking a try? Food expressions. Stuffed. In sauce. Grilled. Marinated. Poached. Mashed. Baked. Pan-fried. Fried. Pickled. Smoked. Deep fried. In syrup. dressed, steamed, cured. Contextualization. A. Listen to a radio essay about the people of San Basilio de Palenque, who gained worldwide culinary fame by uniting around food tradition. When you think about internationally renowned chefs and cookbook writers, culinary heroes like Julia Child, James Beard, or Alice Waters might come to mind. But in 2014, it was a group of 38 amateur cooks from the city of San Basilio de Palenque, Colombia, a town founded by escaped slaves, that won the Gourmand World Cookbook Awards for their attempt to share their tastes and textures of the rich gastronomical culture and traditions of the Palenquero culture of the world. But what is perhaps more impressive than the international acclaim for the compilation of recipes is the story behind the cookbook. This fascinating book was the fruit of a 2-year-long community project led by the organization Transformemos, whose mission is to promote social development in Colombia, in part through literacy projects. In order for the cookbook authors to write their book of recipes, they had to learn how to read and write first. They were highly motivated to do this because they saw that their traditions were being lost. One community member said that many of the recipes that had been passed down through generations had been forgotten. The community was determined they would learn how to write them down so they would not vanish. To do so, they went through a 2-year program using bilingual software in Palenquero and Spanish and became literate. So, together with Transformemos, the support of the Department of Bolivar and Bencos Bioho, an education institution, the group of now renowned chefs discovered the power of the written word. The collection of recipes contains sweets like grated coconut desserts and savory fish recipes like snapper baked in banana leaves or stewed in a spicy broth. The seafood, fruits and vegetables of the region lend themselves to this range of recipes. The foods have a variety of textures and recipes like crispy fried plantains, soft and fluffy coconut rice, and rich stews. The preparation techniques include boiling vegetables, roasting meats, and of course frying. The flavors mix regional ingredients of the coast with Afro-Caribbean for a range of tastes that are as colorful as the place and its people. Even the most experienced chef will find something new in the book because many of these recipes have never been written down. The cookbook is not merely a collection of recipes though. It's a fusion of many elements: Palenquero language, history, musical and gastronomical traditions. The creators of Palenquero for Palenquero Food for the World thought about the future when they decided what would go in the book. They hope that by the time the youth of their community become adults, that they also will have learned to read and write and to use these skills to appreciate their cultural heritage. One thing about the future is certain. When the awards ceremony in China that will present this book to the world is over, San Basilio and its rich gastronomical traditions will have gained international fame.